record on it now, so we'll be able to watch this at a later stage as well. All right, to get things kicked off, I'll bring Imanol into the mix by clicking here. And
good morning,
Imanol.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Good. How are we?
Yeah, good. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And then, yeah, looking forward to sort of like, I guess, digging into this.
digging
into, I guess, the new Service Hub. I think everyone's fairly familiar with some of the features and benefits that the Hub plays. We did do a poll before this as well, and a lot of people mentioned that they have got it inside their HubSpot portal, but they're not using it at all or at any way, shape or form that they should be. So just make sure that we get those questions asked as well in the inside the chat or the Q&A area, just so that we can start getting value, I guess, out of what you guys are using there in HubSpot. Without further ado, I think I might just go ahead and share my screen and get things kicked off. Let me know you can see that okay. Perfect. Awesome. No worries. Well, welcome. I think this is the very first HubSpot user group for 2022. Bit of a late start, but I will let you know that we have got hugs kicking off nearly every 30 days, 30 or 60 days from today. So we'll share the event for the next one. It's going to be around sort of lead scoring and using lead scoring inside your HubSpot account, just so you can start to, I guess, focus on those leads that are through the sales pipeline, but also from a marketing standpoint, being able to qualify those and hand them over to an SQL as well. So today I've got Imanol, who I've mentioned. He's our channel consultant at HubSpot, lives and breathes it, spends all day, I assume, inside HubSpot if he's not in meetings. And we've also got Cam, who is in the chat. I think he's popped his name up there again on the left-hand side. He'll be answering any questions that you might have and make sure that you get answers to that. And then myself as well, who lives in HubSpot a good solid 10 hours a day. A few things that we're going to go through, a few things we're going to learn off. I'm sure Imanol, we're probably going to go in all different directions, but we're going to get some updates on the feedback tool. Tool that's been brought out by HubSpot in their Service Hub is the customer portal. Things around SLA on tickets and a bunch. And finally, once we dive into all the features and benefits of the new Service Hub and what it can do, we'll dive into the best practices for CX as well, and some bite-sized things that you can take away to your own business to go and make sure that no matter what touch point of that customer experience, whether it be in the marketing, the sales, or in the service, and you're doing as best as possible. Q&A at the end, but like I sort of mentioned before, any questions, make sure you ask them on the spot and we'll get them answered for you ASAP. And I just wanted to kick over to Imanol to probably get started to everything that is the new Service Hub.
That is right. Trav, thank you for having me. And first of all, apologies to everyone for that horrible picture from a long time ago. A lot of things have changed since then. Let me see. Well, great. I think I'm having... This is from sharing your screen inside in a browser to join this event. Okay, we're having issues sharing the screen. That's a fantastic start of the day. Let me see. Let me try a couple of things. Just gonna close this. Let's see if I can properly share this. Okay, Trav having some issues with sharing my screen. No problem at all.
Technology. Just another day.
That's right. That's right. Did I say that I work in tech? Okay, just one sec. So yeah, while I try to load the information, I guess what I want to cover today with all of you are some of the new features that we presented as part of the relaunch of Service Hub. I mentioned relaunch because it's not a net new product. So Service Hub has been around for a long time, for 4 years actually, as long as I've been at HubSpot, and it has changed quite a bit. It has changed to the point that some of the features that were initially launched are no longer what they were, and they're even competing with some of the bigger players in the market that you may be familiar with, We'll talk through that in a minute as soon as I can share my screen. Share screen again. Attempt 10. Man. Okay.
Do you want me to share mine?
That'll be great. Yes. Yeah. I'm trying to think. How am I going to do the demo? But we'll figure that out.
No problems. I think maybe I've had that before, where you might need to restart or refresh the browser if there's an update or something like that. But I will share my screen to kick things off.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. All right. Turn off my ugly mug.
There you go. Yeah. So we can move on from this one. That was me 4 years ago with a lot more hair and better days. But the reason why I'm starting to talk about Service Hub, it's because for a long time, it has been loved by service teams for 3 main reasons. The first one is that it's a great tool to delight your customers. A lot of times we focus on the marketing side, the sales side, but we don't know what to do with customers. If you look at the flywheel and how you should be looking at your customers, things don't end when someone becomes a customer. And that's why Service Hub is a fantastic tool to help you keep communicating with those customers, delighting them, and hopefully turning them into promoters. Those promoters will bring more business to your door. And that's why we believe that customers are a fantastic way of growth for a lot of companies. Another reason why it's such a powerful tool is because it's designed to make things easy, so that you don't have to answer the same questions over and over again. You don't have to talk to all those customers all day, every day. You can use tools and create content that can be easily accessed by those clients. They can find the answers to their questions, and more easily they can even share that content with other people. So that's a scaling solution there. And finally, it creates a customer experience that is frictionless. Why is that? So for all of you that are happy customers of HubSpot and you love it, you know that the foundation of the product is the free CRM, and all the products that we build are on top of that CRM. So in this case, Service Hub it's not an exception here. All these features have been built on top of the CRM, which means that every single interaction and every information that you collect from your contacts will live in the CRM, and you will be able to do marketing activities or everything else that you want with that. So next slide, please. Yes. So when Service Hub was launched, it was based on 3 main components. The first one, it had to be easy to use. As I said, it had to be easy for customers to find answers to their questions. It had to be connected. It had to be built on top of a CRM, which I just mentioned as well. And it had to be authentic. It had to be omnichannel service. What does that mean? So your customers may reach out to you through different channels. Can be email, can be forms, can be live chat, can be bots, can be social channels. So having a tool that allows you to collect all that information into one unique platform, it's a massive, massive win for a lot of customers. And that's why, press next slide, Trav. We have built a ton of tools that solve for these 3 major components. So as you can see in these 3 boxes here, the features that are new are highlighted, of course. And as I said, Service Hub has been around for a number of years. So if you are users, Trav, you mentioned that you ran a poll before the session, and we had a lot of people that used Service Hub, but not to its full potential. You may be familiar with shared inboxes. You may be familiar with knowledge bases, surveys that we had in the past, ticketing. But we have launched a bunch of features that make this hub in particular more competitive than other solutions in the market, such as Intercom, Freshdesk of the world. So today we're gonna go through some existing features. I'm gonna go through what you have available at every single level of subscription, and also these 7 new features that may be of your interest. So if you can please share next screen. We're going to start with Help Desk, which combines a number of tools such as the shared inbox, mobile inbox, which is something really cool for those of you that use your phone for your day-to-day business activities. Custom views is something new, which it has changed the way I do my day-to-day as well in a massive way. And then knowledge base, and finally customer portal. So for the first part of the presentation, I'm going to go through the features themselves, but then if I manage to share my screen, I'm going to run a bit of a demo with you, What I'm thinking is that if it doesn't work for some reason, after the HubSpot user group today, I will record a quick Loom video that Trav and the team can share with you, in which I will be running through customer portal, SLAs, and customer service. So that could be a potential solution. So please press next slide, please. Shared inbox, nothing new. The main benefit, in my opinion, is that for all of you that have different channels of communications with customers and prospects, and you want to be across all of them, this feature allows you to unify all of them into one single inbox. Why is it important? You may have those general emails such as admin at blah, blah, or marketing at blah, blah, that you don't keep an eye on every day. You want to make sure that all those channels are connected in a view that your team can manage and make sure that they answer to the questions in a timely manner and nothing falls to the crack. Best part of everything, it's that shared inboxes are free. So this has been around for a while. So I'm curious to see how many of you use it and how you use it. Please press the next slide, Trav. This is a new one. And I think it really, really changes the game in a number of ways. So in the past, as you can see on the screenshot, you could choose the filter by the channel that you had connected. It could be forms, it could be chatbots, but you couldn't create a customized view that allowed you to see specific tickets that are relevant for your business. That has changed. That's a feature that is available with Pro, and it allows you to create custom views per team that can help them to be focused on the tickets that are just relevant to them. Or if you're a manager, for example, and I will try to share the example with you, you could create a view that show all the tickets that are still open and that have not been answered for a period of time, let's say 3 days. It's a good way of like keeping a really simplified view of all the tickets and all the queries that your customers or prospects may be asking. Next slide, please. Small change, but I think it's quite significant. Some of the main feedback that we received from Service Hub existing users was that they couldn't check when more than one service rep was working on a ticket. That has changed now. So for example, if Trav and I were working on a specific ticket, now I could see if Trav was active on that particular ticket, so we don't have to duplicate the work that we're doing for that customer. So small changes, but big impact on that front. Also available with Pro. Next slide, please. Something to note here is that all these features, if you already have Service Pro, you will have access to these features already. So it's not as if you've been a Service Hub user for years, you would be missed on these features. So you would have access to that. Mobile inbox. I personally don't use my phone for my day-to-day work, but I know that a lot of people do. And that's why we have revamped the inbox that you can access from your mobile. The look and feel is really similar to the one that you have available on desktop, and you can easily search for tickets that are opened, assigned to you. So the experience is way better than what it was in the past. In the past, it was really, really clunky. So if you are one of those users that enjoy using your phone for work purposes and you want to check your tickets, I would invite you to if you have the HubSpot app already, maybe refresh it, because that could add this new functionality. And again, best thing of everything, it's available with free. Next slide, Trav, please. Another feature that it's not new, but it was part of the main value proposition of Service Hub when it was launched. So as you can see there, helping your customers helping themselves can save a ton of time, especially when they're asking you the same questions all over again. So you could have an FAQ page where you could redirect your customers to, so they could find answers to most commonly asked questions. And it's great as well for SEO. A lot of people focus on creating landing pages or blog pages, but knowledge-based pages are a fantastic way of improving your ranking on SEO, simply because the content that you are creating for the knowledge base is based on frequently asked questions. So your users are trying to find answers to those queries. So if you create content based on that, your users will spend time reading that, and the Google algorithm will identify that as relevant. Therefore, it will ramp up your ranking. So really important to bear that in mind. Also available with Pro. Next slide, Trav, please. Customer portal. customer portal is by far the major update that has been included in the relaunch. So it was something that was asked for months. Customers were asking for a way through which their own clients could communicate with them. Some sort of like some protected page through you have to access this page through a login. So you would be able to give login to your customers, but they would be able to access the tickets that they have open and also raise some tickets themselves. Why is this important? So if you are, let's say that you are onboarding a client and you want to share the progress of that onboarding or a project that you're working on with them, by giving them access to this portal, they would be able to see the status of that onboarding and also keep an open communication with you to keep track of what's going on. Maybe the screenshot is a bit small, so my apologies for that. We'll try to demo that in a minute. But you can create new tickets. You can view tickets at a contact level. So I would be able to see tickets that I have raised, but you can also see tickets at a company level, so that if I signed up and I was trying to find all the tickets for HubSpot, I would be able to do that as well. It redirects as well directly to the knowledge base, which is pretty cool. They're both aligned with customer experience and helping themselves, as I mentioned. And you can go back and forth between the knowledge base. So it's really cool. And you can use it in any way you want, really. I think if you think about good examples or good use cases for this, you could maybe create a customer portal for your existing customers, so that when someone becomes a customer of yours, you can tell them, hey, we really value your opinion. We want to make sure we have this line of communication open. Therefore, we give you access to this customer portal. As we go through the settings later on, we will see how you can define who can have access to this portal based on lists, based on lifecycle stage. So a ton of really cool things. And also it's available with Service Pro. Trav, next slide, please. Cool. That moves us to the second component of the overall Service Hub mission, right? Which is the omnichannel service. As I said, it's really important to have ways of communicating with your customers when and where they are. So there were a ton of features already existing in Service Hub, like live chat, chatbots, but we have added some new ones, such as post-chat feedback, which is also not a major change, but something that aligns better with the light phase of Service Hub itself. And a couple of features that are available for enterprise or maybe not even available in region. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Please, next slide. Live chat, it's not new. We've seen a massive growth in what we call conversational strategy over the last couple of years. As we all know, a lot of businesses had to shut down or go online. So they still needed ways of communicating with their clients, and live chats, bots, or even social media channels like Facebook integrations grew massively, so that customers and prospects could communicate with your business when and where they need it. So quite powerful there. You can embed the live chat inside of your website, and it's free, which is fantastic. And the next slide, I believe it's for bots. Also, it's not new, but same way that you would have a live chat, the main challenge that we found with live chat is that you need to have a human being behind it. So if someone asks you a question on a Friday at 10 a.m. at 10 p.m., you may not be ready to answer. You may not be behind that live chat. So that when bots come into play to answer some of those frequently asked questions, or maybe be available outside working hours. And you can define a preset like number of actions. You can ask them to leave the name, their email, so you can reach out when you open back, or you can redirect them to knowledge-based articles. If they have questions about, I don't know, pricing or features of your products or services, you can ask them specific questions that would trigger a link to the knowledge base. It's true that chatbots are free, but this link to the knowledge base would be available with Pro, just to clarify that. And of course, you can create a bunch of automation from behind that, right? When someone has submitted a query to a chatbot, you can automatically create a ticket, assign it to someone, and so on. Next slide, please, Trav. This is new, post-chat feedback, and I think it's fantastic because it allows you to ask for feedback to your clients or prospects on the spot. Before this, you could send them a follow-up email, you could give them a link to our website with the survey, which it was great. But at some point, you may lose the interest of your customer, or as I did, and I'm sure that as all of us have done in the past, we just close that window and get going with our days. Now you can avoid that point of friction by adding that post-chat feedback survey to the end of the survey. So they would say, as you can see on the screenshot, you could ask them, how was the experience with us today? And they would be able to provide you with happy face, a neutral face, or a sad face. But it secures that they are giving you some feedback on the interaction with you. Why is this important? Because it can help you improve your customer service process, or overall the type of questions that you ask on that chat. Also available with Pro, and small changes, as you can see, like this one, the agent presence is not something as new as the customer portal, but in the same way, it's very, very, very powerful. Trav, next slide, please. Channel switching. So this one may be a small change as well, but I think it's helpful when you're trying to communicate with your clients on tickets. So I really hope that I can do the demo for you, because I'll show you how it works. But let's say that you are using your inbox, right? You are a customer service rep, and you are taking a look at the tickets that are available in your inbox, and you have a bunch of queries that came through different channels. And when you respond to those queries, now you have the option of doing it through the chat itself, through a ticket, through an email, or maybe even calling them back. So that functionality is really, really simple. Allows you to change the channel through which you communicate with those clients, which makes the tool a full omni-channel platform. There's no screenshot, but I promise you that I will try to share the screen later on. Next screen, Trav. Next slide, sorry. Integration. Again, this one is not new. This would align with the bot and live chat that I mentioned. But what I'm trying to reinforce by having this slide here is that if you are using these channels to communicate with your clients, make sure that they're all synced to your inbox, so that you may be able to respond to those queries on a timely manner, as I said. And if you're not able to respond in a timely manner, there would be different users on that inbox that will be able to take the ticket from you and respond to the client. The main thing that we need to do when it comes to delighting customers is making sure that we help them as soon as we can, and where and when they need. So making sure that you have all these channels connected to your inbox is mandatory, and also free. So it's something that you can start using from the very beginning. Next slide, Trav. I'm not literally not reading the specific features and all that. I'm sure that Trav will share this with you, and most of these ones will be explained through the demo that we'll attempt to do today. Inbound calling, it's a massive feature that it's still not available in region. When I say region, I would probably say globally, with the exception of the US and the UK. It's something that is being tested there first, and over the next 10 to 12 months, it will be rolled out globally. In the past, and currently, you can make phone calls from your CRM if you have sales tools and you are using the calling functionality, but you cannot receive calls in your CRM. So in this case, you could do that with inbound calling. So you will be able to connect your phone with your CRM, and when someone is calling you, you would be able to respond from within the CRM. That information would be logged, and you will be able to track that information. And it's available with Service Hub Starter. But if you click on the next slide, which is conversation intelligence, if you are an enterprise, you will be able to analyze the content of those calls. So conversation intelligence, it's a feature available with Service Enterprise. It was launched, if I'm not wrong, in June 2021. And it's great for coaching purposes, both for service and for sales. Why is it great? Because it logs the call and it gives you the transcript of that call. So if you are trying to coach your reps on questions they should be asking, words they should be using, or words they should not be using, you can easily track the transcript and try to find those words. And it's a fantastic way of like showing your reps how to do their job. And as you can see on the screenshot there, on the right side, you could even comment on them. So you can have that channel of communication with your reps saying, hey, Trav, you asked this question, which is a great question. Why don't you rephrase it this way next time you talk to someone? So fantastic tool for coaching purposes. As I mentioned, available on enterprise. It's the only enterprise feature we're going to cover today. But if it's something you want to explore, we have a ton of information on this that I can send you after the session. Next slide, please. Cool. So we are moving to the third component of the Service Hub overall mission, which is based on the integration and pretty much built on top of the CRM. So the major power of HubSpot is that it all lives inside of the CRM. Whether you have marketing, sales, service, operations, CMS, all of them, it all lives inside of the CRM. So you can leverage all that data to make informed decisions and create content, campaigns, and actions based on them. So once again, Service Hub is built on top of that. So all that information will be really valuable and could be used in a different number of ways. Next slide, please, Trav. First few slides are actually ticket pipelines, which have been there for a while. So you can create a pipeline with the different steps of your customer service process. You know, when some queries captured, it's been worked on, it's been solved, it's been closed. You could create those stages and create tickets for each of those queries. Those tickets can be defined based on priority, based on owner. You can do a bunch of things with them, and you can have different pipelines. So you could have a pipeline for post-sales. You can have a pipeline for complaints. Hopefully that pipeline is quite empty, but you can have it if you want to. So you could have separate pipelines with separate users on each pipeline that allows you to keep track of all the interactions across each department of your business. So really powerful, and it's been available for free since we launched this tool. So great tool to use. The next one is based on automation. So a lot of times we talk about automation related to marketing, but it's also really powerful when it comes to sales and service in this case. Why is that? Because you can trigger automation based on ticket properties. If the ticket is open, you can send a notification to your reps to keep an eye on that. Not only your service reps, but maybe also your sales rep saying, hey, this account reached out to support. It's a big account for us. Why don't you keep an eye on that? And you work with the service rep to make sure that it's solved and it's a happy customer. So great feature to use as well. Next slide, Trav, please. New one. This is also a major release and good news. It's available in region. So customer portal and service level agreements are the two major value propositions that we are positioning for the relaunch. SLAs were not available with Service Hub before, and it was a feature that was heavily requested by our users, pretty much because they want to make sure that their reps are focused on those tickets that are more relevant for the business. So in the past, you could use different custom properties to build it. It was quite messy and it didn't fit for the purpose, but now you can create service level agreements that can be based on time to respond or time to close the ticket. As you can see on the screenshot there, at the moment, we have two main SLA options. Time to first reply. Let's say that you have a team of service reps that need to respond to a ticket within 10 minutes, or time to close, right? If someone is following up on an escalation, how long does it take to close is very important as well. I'll try to demo that to you as well. Next slide, Trav. Customer feedback surveys. So customer feedback surveys has been available with Service Hub since it was launched. In the past, it was a really restricted tool. It only allowed you to choose from like customer satisfaction or NPS, and it was like a micro survey, which allowed you to ask one question. From 1 to 10, how happy are you with your service? Happy face, sad face, neutral face. It was really restrictive, and we've been building a ton behind the scenes to make this tool what it's today. It's available with Pro. If you can click on the next slide, Trav, please. Now we have full custom surveys. What do I mean by this? So not only you can use the 3 preset survey options that I mentioned if you want to still use that micro survey approach. But you can build proper surveys. When I say proper surveys, you can select from a bank of questions, you can create your own questions, and you can have unlimited questions. Well, not unlimited, maybe, I don't know, like 30 or 50, but you know what I mean. From 1 to 30, 50, it's quite a lot. So this specific feature has changed massively, and at the moment, it can replace other survey tools that you may find in the market, because you can literally create a specific feature that fits your need. Next slide, please. How are we going with time? Yes, service analytics. So I've added this one here because you may be familiar with the analytics tools where you can see the traffic, you can evaluate the efficiency of the sales content. We have also created a view for service analytics. Why is it cool? Because it has a bunch of out-of-the-box reports that you can use to look at the performance of your service rep, or the different level of SLAs that are working, that are not working, also time to close your tickets. So it's a great bunch of reports that you can either use as part of this analytics tool or add it to a dashboard that can give you a big picture overview of how your team is performing and how your customer service approach is performing with your clients. Next slide, Trav. Cool. So now what I'm thinking is, while I was supposed to do a demo, which it didn't, I don't think it actually works. Why don't we move to the next session with the best practices while I try to fix the my browser, and maybe towards the end we can do a bit of a demo. Trav, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that sounds good. I can potentially, if my camera comes back on.
Great.
Yeah, we're struggling. But yeah, if in the meantime, and
yes,
then
yes.
by the time we get back, it should be all gravy.
If it doesn't work for any reason, as I said, after this HubSpot user group today, I'll just record a 10-minute video that you can add to the follow-up, in which I'll show you how the customer portal looks, how to set up SLAs, and those custom surveys that I mentioned, which are, I think, the 3 key things for Service Pro.
We did have a question, Imanol, whether we're able to send surveys.
Not at this stage. You can use some of the answers from the surveys to trigger some actions. You know, if someone answered like, "I hate your service," you can trigger an immediate alert to your sales reps to give them a call. But you cannot trigger those surveys from within the workflow. No, you could trigger an email that included a link, but it's not as straightforward.
Yeah. Okay.
Yet.
All right. Yep. No worries. Well, you'll be back, but in the meantime, I'll go through and start going through some of the best practice CX. As you get asked, we'll ask them when you get back. Oh, awesome. We'll just pop him off there. Perfect. All right, no worries. So I'm going to share my screen again, and this will definitely work because we've done it before. So best practice customer experience stuff from a very high level. I'm going to go through this, talk about some of the best practices that we've got and we go by. Some of it is fairly common sense, but what we wanted to do was share with you, I guess, some of the high. In most scenarios that we deal with people, there's a few scenarios where we'd like to actually start to have a bit more of a focus on this within our business, whether you be, I guess, the general manager in marketing, sales, or in customer service itself. So hopefully you can take away a few of these little bite-sized pieces of information just to be mindful of. I've also got a good cadence of quarterly roundups with your team if you are rolling this out. I think that a CX meeting should be a standalone meeting with all different department heads just to talk about it if it's a very first initial talk, but we'll talk about this. First thing was basically me talking around, I don't know if that's super small, but a CX strategic framework, and it should basically work like this quite consistently. Obviously, we've got the start, the CX strategy, who specifically the audience is, the segmentation specifically to the persona, the experience design, which is probably my favorite part. That's jumping on a whiteboard or in Miro, actually stepping all of that out, and then the implementation. Hand on heart, there is never where I've seen any business in the world roll out a CX strategy and implementation and it worked first go. It's actually quite a fluid little model that actually is consistently needed improving. So obviously we adopt that. By adoption, we sort of talk about the internal training and understanding about what it is and understand improvement. I'll go on to say that this is more of a quarterly stand. Measuring, obviously using the HubSpot tools that you've sort of got here today, understanding the customer satisfaction, the retention, and the operational metrics. All of that can be captured within HubSpot in the reporting tool. And if it's say, for example, on a good report, that and embedded into there as well. So you've got it all in one place. We've obviously got the listening, obviously sending it all out and getting that feedback, which then goes back around to addressing it into that CX strategy and improving it. My personal opinion is potentially in the first year of rolling out a really structured CX strategy is really sort of meeting as a team 4 times a year, and then potentially half yearly after the first year that's gone out there as well. Four key points. Listen to the target audience and understand their needs and expectations. If you are somewhat of a smaller organization or a mid organization, if you are an executive or department head, the person that needs to be doing this sort of understanding is that person, the head of the snake, because they're the ones that are going to truly understand. Where I find sometimes is that they are not, involved with that process. It's really good for top execs or department heads to really start leading that get-go. Address and engage with customer queries in real time. Don't wait for the next quarterly meeting. By what I mean by that is that if there's that needs to get fixed and it's obviously affecting the CX quite substantially, go in there and jump in and fix it now and make sure that it's the next quarterly meeting. Focus on building a customer experience framework at every single touch point of the journey. We personally at Neighbourhood are just about to dig into this even deeper, where we're going to map out every single touch point, whether it be on the website, social, whether it be through automation, text message, just making sure that what it looks like from those different journeys from different personas and make sure that it meets the understanding of what we're trying to solve. Last and probably not least is measuring the satisfaction by identifying the key metrics. So it's easy to sort of, throw a CSAT score or an NPS. Give it some context as well. Make sure that you're getting some context in regards to specifics. Now, for us internally, we look at effectiveness and innovation. They're the 3 for us that we actually measure on at the end of every single quarter. Communication's key and given to make sure that we're showing value in what we do. But what we try to push ourselves innovation here. So if the advice that we were given was more than what was expected and pushing, the envelope in regards to their own CX or sales pipelines or marketing pipelines. So they're the 3 metrics that we measure here at Neighbourhood, but have a think about some of those metrics that you might be wanting to, measure every single quarter. So I've got 4 here, 4 sort of CX best practices that I like to run by is real-time assistance. We have an internal SLA here. For any sales inquiry that comes in, 5 minutes. I've got 5 minutes to answer that inquiry. I've basically set up an SMS internal notification that goes straight to my phone. If I'm in front of the road or anything like that, I'm able to go ahead and respond to that straight away, or I'm able to click through and just respond with a quick email saying I can give you a call soon. Service is 1 hour. If a longer time is required, then I think what we need to go back to them and say, hey, I've got your email and I will get back to you within the next 24 hours with a response. I think that's a given, but I think setting it as an SLA is important. Sales, I right hook the lead here in the sales aspect. And this is almost a bit of a best practice from a sales aspect as well, but the prospect process should always know the next steps and the dates and there should be no ambiguity around exactly what doing next. For example, if you jump on a connect call or an exploratory call or meet with them face to face, leave that meeting telling them when that next thing's going to happen. Okay, let's catch up and we'll go to the proposal. Are you free on the 23rd? Yes, I am, 10 a.m. All right, let's lock that in there as well. What you want to do is control that conversation and just make sure that they know what's going next, so you're in control. Live chat, like Imanol said, chatbot knowledge bases. But the big thing here is needed as well. So if they need a hand from a real person, just make sure that there's that opportunity and they don't have to go down this big sort of slide of automation to talk to people, because it just gets frustrated. I personally get frustrated, but I think everybody does too. There's a small graph. I don't know whether everyone can see it there. It's pretty small, but the biggest concern that across most industries is the long wait time and response times. So you know, if you have a think about the last time you purchased a product or a service, getting that quick response time, even if you're not going to get that response right away, just to acknowledge that response is super important. And I think also automation is all good, but I think it definitely hits home a bit more if it's actually from an actual person. Yeah, so you can have a look at these slides after this, and we'll send these out as well. Feedback loop, which is something we spoke about at the very start, is create a framework and lean in as a business. I think this is super. I did see a stat that's saying that people that do focus on customer experience and really, really try to perfect that are mostly 63% more profitable than businesses that don't. So the owner or executive is present in the first round of feedback loop, get them to engage with questionable feedback. It's important that the person running the CX, the owner, the executive, the department head, is the one that's running those and direct feedback from those people to help shape the rollout of that loop. For me, quarterly CX meetings, review the feedback and update the processes or the product that you've got specifically. You can hand that off to the product team or hand it off to the service team, and just reporting on the CSAT, NPS, and CSAT scores, just to improve month on month. As a good rule of thumb as well, if somebody doesn't respond, I consider that to be good, but they just haven't responded, because most people will respond if it's really, really, really good or really, really, really bad. And there's the customer feedback loop that I sort of mentioned: gather feedback, analyze, decide to take action, and then follow up with the customers and just basically start that from a quarterly round. You might want to do it monthly, product or service as well. Team training, this is something, again, we're leaning into a little bit more in the coming months, is gather the feedback from the customers. And it's important to share this with the team members as well. The best ideas come from people that might not even be in that department. Train the team on active listening to understand the customer's the customer's needs. It's important to understand what they need to look out for, and then report that back as well. I love doing role playing. I know everyone here hates doing role playing, but doing role playing for scenarios as a team, it's really good, because there's people within the team that might not necessarily want to speak up. Gives them the opportunity to get uncomfortable, but also ask questions if there's some curly ones in those role plays too. And create a team training schedule, even if it is for 1 to 2 hours. You'll see results as well, but you'll see starting to directly get the customers, but also be able to sort of see the results from people performing a lot better and ironing out a lot of those kinks as well. My favorite part, I guess, on whether it's a customer experience, is basically journey mapping. So virtually sort of seeing the whole journey and being able to make sure that you show this to the team. We use a program called Miro, M-I-R-O, and we're able to create an online whiteboard that we can collaborate as a team. But it's really important to build this out. It's going to take you a bit of time to start it from day one, but we do this with every sort of part of the marketing, sales, and service journey here at Neighbourhood. That journey every quarter, review the feedback from customers and prospects, and then basically pull that up on the whiteboard or on the TV and actually say, do we need to alter this process a little bit more in order to, based on the feedback we've got. Don't automate everything. It just doesn't work. You'll end up turning it off a million different ways. I think one of some of the tasks, but definitely having a human touch in that customer experience is necessary. We're all humans. People can spot automation a mile away. You can try and get a bit tricky with it, but I think it's very necessary to have a human touch and reach out and speak to them at every step of the way. And if it's the first time, which can be confronting, is just, if it's the first time, get a very high level of that journey, and then basically just focus on one little section of that journey and test and measure and improve on that. And I think that you'll be able to have a bit more focus. For example, if it's customer onboarding, or if it's the sales process, or if it's the offboarding, or if it's the review, work on which one's going to give most value to the business and focus on that and perfect that. And maybe every quarter you can start looking at different sections of the business. The more focus you put into a small area, I guarantee it will perform a lot better as well. So I was hoping to see if there's any questions around that. I'm just going to go back here as well. Yeah, we've got the Miro link down there. Was there any questions that anyone had, I guess, around some of those best practices? Again, some of them are fairly, I guess, common and understandable. But they're, I guess, the foundational benefits, I guess, of the CX and making sure. I think what most people don't do as a business, from what we see here at Neighbourhood, is having those regular meetings every single quarter to actually focus on just customer experience and bringing in sales, marketing, service and product department heads into that as well, and just having a general conversation about it, because I think that it can benefit. It benefits the business, but it definitely benefits some of the departments as well, as we've got there. So I will provide that slide deck and the recording for this after this, just if you want to go back through it and pause it. I'm going to bring Imanol back here. We'll wait for some more questions, but I'm going to bring him back to see if it's alive.
I'm certainly alive. I've done all the updates that I'm capable of doing. So let me see if I can.
It's that annoying update on the side of Google Chrome. I know the one.
Yes, it was there. Hopefully, I can share the screen. So fingers crossed. Is it working?
Yes, it is.
Nice. Okay.
So you can take over.
Okay. So we're gonna run a quick overview of some of the features that I discussed today. It's going to be mainly around the SLAs because it's one of the major updates that has been released. Customer portal, and then I want to show you as well how custom surveys and how different they are from the original surveys that were launched with Service Hub back in 2018. I'll try to do it in the 9 minutes that we have. So if everyone can see my screen, the first thing that I'm going to do is to, yes, cool, you can see my screen, everyone. First thing is just create a new inbox, yeah? For those of you that have not created an inbox, it's really simple. You just go to the inbox there at the bottom, and then you create a new inbox. In this case, I've done my homework, as you can see, so I'm gonna call it Beth Future Group Brisbane. You can make it available to everyone, or you can also choose which team has access to what here. In this case, I'm gonna make it available for everyone, and then you can choose which channels to connect. As I mentioned, if you have live chats or bots, or even use Facebook as part of the outreach for your clients and prospects, make sure that all of these are connected. For the sake of the exercise, I'm gonna do that. You can just, set it up as you want to. Available for which specific teams and users, assigned. Availability, you can choose opening or working hours or 24/7 in this case. And then an overview on different devices. Cool, okay. Now, I have created my inbox, and so far I have connected the chatbot, and I have a sample contact here. His name is Cool Robot, and he just sent me a message. So first thing that I wanna share with you is the custom view functionality. But before that, as you may remember, switching channels was one of the features that was launched that I mentioned that it was very, very helpful if you want to respond to your clients through different channels without having to leave the inbox. So that would live here, actually. So you have the option of responding to this chat, to this bot default message. You have the option of responding to that person via email as well. Or in this case, it's a dummy contact. But if that contact was a real person in your CRM and you had the number as a property, you could call them from within the CRM. So different ways, if it's a very important escalation, you want to make sure that you call them back, but you have different ways of quickly changing channel from within the inbox itself. If you want to discuss it internally, that's when you just change from emailing to commenting. And as you can see, it changes to a yellowish approach. What it means is that if you want to reach out to someone internally without having to let the client know, let's say I need to say to Trav, hey Trav, do you mind just taking a look at this escalation? You can do that by using the add mention features here, super helpful. And then you have a ton of options of using snippets directly into the answer, excuse me, quotes, documents, video, knowledge-based articles, everything from within that inbox. So let's what I'm going to do now is create an SLA. Cool. So in order to do that, I would go to the inbox settings. You see how it says SLAs. So you would go here. And as I mentioned, at the moment, we have two options. With the time, we'll keep adding more. And that's why customer feedback is so important, so that we can keep adding SLAs that are relevant to your business. So if you have ideas, please send them my way, or like send them with the team and at Neighbourhood, and they will me. But for the sake of this exercise, we're going to use time to first reply. You have the option of like setting up all the tickets or based on priority, which we're going to look at in a minute. But you can define the SLA based on the priority of the ticket. So let's say that you have different type of clients or escalations. If you have different tiers for clients, you want to make sure that tier 1, the tickets are prioritized as high. So that's when you define the due time and when it's overdue. So for the sake of this exercise, let's make sure that, for example, for the low priority tickets, we define 10 minutes, and it's overdue within an hour. For the medium, let's say 8 minutes, 1 hour as well. And then for high priority, you want to make sure that they need to be answered within 4 minutes. And they will be due if no one answers within 30 minutes. Cool. You can define this based on your needs. And once you have defined the requirements, you would save that. Cool. All right. So you have created the SLA. Now, if we go back to the inbox, yep. And let's say that this was, as again, this is a dummy ticket, yeah, but it was an important escalation, a tier 1 client complaining. You would want to make sure that you would use the different features available on your right side and create a ticket. Let's say the ticket is important escalation. You want to prioritize that as, let's make it low just for the sake of the exercise so that I can show you how it looks. Let's make sure I put here, not so important, yeah. And it's the create date is today. So you create it. And as you can see here, it shows you that it's still within time to respond before it's due, right? You can click in here and it tells you how much time you have for that first reply. All this is dummy information, so you may not make a lot of sense, but I'm going to show you as well. This is our test portal. I want to show you as well how it would look from a ticket perspective when you have a ton of volume. Let's say high priority. You can see how here it shows all the tickets that are high priorities with the applicable SLA. And this is something that I want to show you now. So as I mentioned, custom views are small changes that impact businesses in a massive way. So you can actually create a custom view inside of your own inbox. How would you do that? You would click on Actions, Create a View. Let's say that you want to create a manager view. You open tickets, right? You want to keep track of how your team is doing. And you can define a number of properties so that's only specific tickets that have those properties will be added there. So first of all, the ticket needs to be open. Tickets request type. I will go back to you on that one, Graham. Apply filter, and then let's say the last response date was, I don't know, 3 days. Yep. Apply filter. You create the view. There may be nothing in the view, but as you can see in these ones, based on the requirements you have defined, all those tickets that in this case are open and that have not been responded within 3 days will be added to this particular view. So it's a fantastic way of like keeping track of specific tickets that are relevant to yours. Yep. And as you can see, the SLA would pop up here. Cool. All right, time-wise, we're doing, okay, sorry, we're running out of time. Customer portal. Customer portal is another one that is also really, really cool. It's here. Yeah, so in terms of setting that up, you can define who has access to the specific customer portal. As I mentioned, a perfect use case would be if you give access to this feature to your customers as a way of delighting them. You can give them access to this portal. It would be password protected, and you could choose if you want to see only tickets that are associated with your contact or at a company level. I don't, this is, let me see if I can, we have one here to show you how it looks. The customer portal. So this is how it would look in real life, right? There's a ticket here. If you had the login access to this particular one, this is what you would see, and it would show your tickets. I tested it yesterday, so that's why this ticket is still here. So I would be able to open it, and I can see that no one has responded. So you can say, hey, what's going on? What's going on here? And then, attach a file. So it's a great way of having that communication, and it would pop up there. You can go back to tickets and see all the tickets that are associated with me. In this case, you can directly go to the knowledge base, which is a good way of delighting customers, because from within the customer portal, you can send them to that knowledge base, and they can also come back. So super powerful feature. The last one that I want to share with you today would be custom surveys. So custom surveys, you would be able to find them under service. And as I said in the past, when you create a survey, you have the option of choosing from NPS or customer satisfaction, or from 1 to 10. So you have the option of creating a custom survey now with the questions that are relevant to your business. So you would select custom survey, click on next, create. And now you have the option, you have the default template, but you have the option of doing a number of things. First one, if you have created a bunch of custom surveys in the past, you won't have to type in the same question again. You will be able to find those questions you have already created by looking at these previously used questions. So you would be able to just add it there and add it as a module there, in here. And then if you want to add a single checkbox question, you can add it here. So you would be able to pretty much create the questions that are specific to your business and what you want to ask. And it's a way better user experience that we had in the past with just one question. I don't think I'm missing anything. This was like a really quick demo of these 3 cool features. But as you can see, in this case of surveys, is really straightforward. You just have the option of adding different modules. And for SLAs, you can define it based on time to first reply or time to close. And the customer portal would give them the overview of the existing tickets that they have for themselves. So that's the list of features that I wanted to run past by you today. We have, if you want to, I know we're a bit over time, so I don't know how we're going for this, but we can have some questions if you want around this, or if you prefer, just collect them and I can just go back to that.
Well, it's all right. I think Graham had a question just around, is there any plans to allow SLAs to be set against ticket request types?
Graham, can you expand a bit on that? So let's say that, so at the moment, based on the priority, yeah, you can definitely define the SLA based on that. You could, at the moment, I don't think it's, if you can explain what request type you have in mind, because at the moment it's either all tickets, which have request types. Okay. I don't think at the moment you would be able to do that. It's either all the tickets or based on the priority, not on the request type. If you want, if you have specific use cases, And if you want to share them with Trav can send them with me, and we can raise it with the team that is developing this product. It's a brand new product, so any feedback that you can provide will be helpful. But at this stage, is limited to only those two options, unfortunately.
Got a feeling that hopefully in the future they'll be able to sort of attach them to custom properties, ticket properties specifically. Hopefully. He's Graham's sort of saying that he's using forms in knowledge base which have request types. So,
Jasmine, is it possible to create automation based on survey responses? So those responses will be captured inside of the activity timeline as a property there that you could use to notify someone or things like that. So yes, you can do that.
Perfect. And before we wrap up, has anybody else got any questions at all? Anything? No, we're 4 minutes over time, but if there is any questions, make sure you hit us back. I think we'll send out an email, Cam, just after this, and we'll basically do a follow-up, all the questions and the answers that we had there specifically. We'll also include the presentation as well, so you can have a look through that, and the recording, which will be on YouTube, which you can sort of freeze it. But just before I go, I'll share the final part of my screen here.
One last thing as well, there's a net new Service Hub certification in your portal. So it's the best way to get familiar with not only these features, but also use cases. So make sure you do that one.
Perfect. All right. So I will say that we've got our next HubSpot user group. We're kind of prepared this time, which is good. We've actually got one ready before we end, which is good. One thing that there's a little bit of ambiguity around is lead scoring within HubSpot, or the HubSpot score. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through with one of our strategists, Geordie Roberts, and actually go through in the best practices and the methodologies about putting together lead scoring, how to set it up in your system. We'll do a demo. We'll tell you how to bring that, and we'll also give you a bit of a takeaway as well if you need a bit of a guide on how to do that specifically within HubSpot. Very, very, very powerful, both from a marketing and sales aspect. I use it from a sales aspect, and if a lead goes away and doesn't respond, but then starts engaging with emails, websites, and opening up documents, I get notified once they've done a specific amount of action. So it's going to be hugely powerful, setting a lot of stuff in automation there, which is really good. But a big thank you, Imanol, and also from the guy from behind the scenes, manning the chat is Cam as well. But thanks, boys, for coming on today and showing everyone around that new Service Hub. I know that you can't speak, Cam, but the nod, you're giving me the nod. But thanks heaps, Imanol, for catching up with us.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. So yeah, that wraps up today. So the 26th of May, Thursday at 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And like I mentioned, we can watch the recording for this after this. Within the hour, we'll have it up and going. But thanks so much for coming along and watching, I guess, the Hug. We hope we started to get a bit of inklings that some of the Hugs, they're going to look at the Hugs to potentially see if later on in the year, these move from being online to more in person. So once we get some more information about that, we'll definitely let everybody know. It'd be great to have a beer with everybody locally and catch up and discuss this in person. The link for the next Hug is in the chat below. But I think that wraps it up. Thanks again, Imanol and Cam, for today, and have a good rest of the short week.
Talk soon, everyone.
No worries, guys. Catch you later.